All right, thank you everybody for joining. We're going to get started. This is going to be recorded. For those of you, in case you missed something, you'll be able to go back and take a look at it. For anybody who you may be speaking with who wanted to get on and wasn't able to or forgot about it, let them know that it is recorded so they can take a look at it anytime they want to. I am joined, my name is Bob Harvey, County Commissioner here in Bucks. I'm joined by Deanna Giorno, who's part of our Housing Community Economic Community Development Agency here, and John Mercer, owner of Staxco here in Doylestown. So we're here to give you just an idea of what's going on with our round 2 of the Bucks Back to Work Small Business Grant. The county did allocate about $14 million back in the spring to run the first Back to Work grant. That grant went out to businesses 49 employees or less, Bucks County based, who had an annual revenue of $750,000 or less. The goal was to help those small businesses, sole proprietorships that were, suffering at the what was at the time a really, bad part of the pandemic, coming out of that really bad part of the pandemic. Obviously, the economic impact of the pandemic continues. We know that, and so round 2 is being launched today, obviously, and the application itself will go live on Monday, this coming Monday, the 14th, and we'll talk more detail about that. This Back to Work grant is going to be about $15 million. It is open to any business, again, 49 employees or less, Bucks County based, for-profit business. And for any business, we did make a few changes. We did raise the upper limit in terms of revenue to no more than $2 million. And we also opened it up this time to businesses that are franchises. We did hear from quite a few businesses in the spring who were owned by an individual or a couple individuals, but they did have a franchise, technically operated as a franchise. And so we wanted to open up the door to them for this round. We did make some changes to the application process. We worked very hard in the springtime to develop an application that we felt would be as user-friendly as possible. We were definitely faced with some challenges. It's the first time the county's ever done anything like this. And so there were certainly, we put a lot of great effort into it. I think overall it was a success, but you always want to see if you can do things a little better. And we took some of the lessons we learned back in the spring, and we made some changes to the application process, which we think is going to make it even easier than it was previously. And I'll let Deanna's going to go through that in a little bit. And then we will take some questions later on. I think John is taking questions. If you have questions to ask, please put them in the chat function. You also, I think, could email them. Could have emailed them sooner or even now.
Yeah, sorry, there's no chat. I don't think the chat function's on, but just email. We're tracking the mailbox live. It is bucksbacktowork@buckscounty.org. And it's Bucks Back to Work, the word too. So bucksbacktowork@buckscounty.org.
All right. Thanks, John, for that correction.
Sure.
All right, I'll turn over to Deanna, and she can go over the application process, and then we'll go to questions. Go ahead, Deanna.
Thank you, Commissioner. So to echo what Commissioner Harvey just said, for our second round, we have taken a lot of the feedback from first round applicants into consideration to make this process easier and more accessible for our Bucks County small business owners. The first and most significant change is how the form will be submitted for review. In this round, application forms and documents will be submitted through an online portal. If we go to the next slide, we will go over where this form can be located. And if we just play this short video, we'll go over those details. So the easiest way to access the form is from buckscounty.org website. From the homepage, if you select, we can just let that run, the video. Yeah, thanks. From the homepage here that you see, you would select the bottom right green box that says Bucks County COVID-19 Economic Resource. Some items to note on this page include the state guidance and press release links in the yellow and green boxes, as well as links to connect you directly to the Commonwealth's website, where you can find guidance for operation and up-to-date directives as released by Governor Wolf. The next area of this page is current information about the second round of Bucks Back to Work grant program, and we'll come back to that section in a moment. Below, you'll see a link to PA Small Business Grant, which just closed their second round, as well as links to Bucks County Business Survey. All businesses are encouraged to participate in this survey so we can do our best to successfully assist our local businesses. The next sections on this page include information for you regarding some maps and some resource pages for PPE, printable, postable information for your customers and your employees, as well as some state resources. So scrolling back up to where the information is posted on our second round of the grant program, we'll be posting the link to the application at the start on Monday, September 14th at 8:00 a.m. directly under this line here. And we will now go through the different sections of our application form to give you ample time to gather data that we'll be requesting. So we are already on that page here. So this is the top of the application that you'll see once you click on that web link. And at the top of the application, we have the purpose of our grant program, as well as links to other resources, which we just walked through, and the survey for Bucks businesses, followed by some additional information to assist you. In this round, we are requesting that all documents be attached to this form as opposed to an email, as was the case with our first round. Applications that are submitted without the correct documents attached to this form will not be considered for the grant award. Paper applications will be provided and may be submitted by appointment only if the applicant demonstrates an inability to complete the digital form. A request for paper applications must be made no later than Wednesday, September 16th by 5:00 p.m. and are due to be returned for consideration at the close of the application window on Friday, September 18th at 5:00 p.m. Requests for paper applications can be made to bucksbacktowork@buckscounty.org and will be sent out when the application window opens on Monday, September 14th at 8:00 a.m. That is the earliest that you'll be able to access the application, whether it's in the paper format or a digital format. So moving on, we can start to dive into Section A. So Section A goes over some basic aspects, but first, just want to cover a few things to note on the application overall. So all questions with a red asterisk are required for a successful submission. If you have a question regarding what is being asked in any question, some may have a tooltip, which will further explain what we are looking for. So please take advantage of those throughout the form, as they are there to assist you. To access a tooltip, just scroll your cursor over a question and the tooltip will automatically pop up. All right, so the specifics of Section A, there are a number of critical questions here relating to your business's eligibility, and includes an acknowledgement at the end that the information being provided is true and correct. To be eligible for this round, your revenue must be under $2 million gross, and you must own at least 20% of the business. When reporting your gross revenue, please do not include any COVID-19 related financial assistance that you have received. This includes, but is not limited to, PPP or the PA Small Business Grant. Business owners who own more than one business may only apply for one of their businesses. Additionally, your business must be a for-profit business that is based in and primarily operates within Bucks County. The next section is some additional eligibility requirements. So additional eligibility requirements, we can go to the next slide there. Thank you. Additional eligibility requirements do not allow round one recipients nor employees of Bucks County to apply for this round. Further, in order to be eligible to apply for this round, a business must have been in business with the same owner since 2018. The last question in this section here asks, about your interest in receiving more information on additional opportunities for local Bucks County businesses. If you indicate that you would like to be notified that additional programs are available, we will be providing your information to other economic development organizations throughout the county, and they may be contacting you. Some examples of these organizations may be the Industrial Development Authority or our Redevelopment Authority for Bucks County. The last part of Section A includes additional items of note to our program. These include the inclusion of all industries, as well as franchises and affiliated businesses, as Commissioner Harvey mentioned. Grant limits may not exceed 25% of the business's annual total expenses from 2019. And applicants must all intend to remain open through the end of 2020 at a minimum. To complete Section A and move forward with the application, applicants must initial, date, and indicate their business name to acknowledge their understanding of the eligibility for this round of grants. If you complete this section but indicate you are ineligible by your response in any of these questions, please know that the form will not allow you to proceed to Section B. If you are not eligible, please do not acknowledge that you are, just to move forward. All right, moving on to Section B. In Section B, you will answer a number of basic questions about your business, including the name of your business, the address, the owner's name, title, email, and phone number. When providing the address of your business, please be sure to submit the physical address of your location, and please do not include P.O. boxes. In the next part of Section B, you will need to choose your industry from a drop-down box. There are 23 options. We can go to the next slide. There are 23 options to choose from, and you must choose from one of these categories. If your business does not neatly fit into one of these 23 industries listed, please do your best to select the option that is most closely related. Next, you will need to submit the municipality that your business is in. This should match the physical address of your business that you previously entered above. As it says on the form, if you have more than one location in Bucks County, please report the municipality of the business headquarters or location which earns the greatest revenue. Next, you'll be asked to briefly describe what your business does and how COVID-19 has affected your business operations. All right, so this is a new question here in this part of Section B. We've added this section for the second round, and we are requesting that applicants itemize what your current need is and what you anticipate your need being through December 30th, 2020. We understand that this figure may change, but ask that you be sure to give your best estimate. This question specifically will greatly help us in accurately determining awards for this round of grants. And to coincide with this figure, we are asking that applicants choose which expense the funds will likely be used for. We've attached our expense guidance as a hyperlink to this question to use as a reference and assist you in answering this question. If you select Other, as an additional text box will appear, and you will be required to clarify what you plan on spending the grant on. All right, moving on to the last the last part of Section B. In the funding sources box, we will be asking applicants to itemize what additional funding their business has received from other sources during COVID-19. Some examples include, but are not limited to, PPP, EIDL, and the PA Small Business Grant. Each type of funding award will need a separate entry in this box. Please completely submit information for one at a time and select Add Another Source when you're ready to submit the next funding type. This option will be on the bottom right of the box. The information you will need to include is the funding source, which you can select from a drop-down box, the amount of funding received, the amount that is remaining, and what the money was put towards. If you have been approved for a loan or grant but have not yet received the funds, please put the full amount received and the full amount remaining as the total amount you will be receiving. In the use space, please write not yet received. For the next question, you will need to submit your total revenue as gross sales as of June 30th, 2020. 0 is not an acceptable figure for this question, as a 0 will indicate that you are not in business and therefore are ineligible for our program. Also, please do not include any COVID-related financial assistance awards when reporting this figure. And finally, in this section, you will need to enter in your total full-time, part-time, and contracted employees. If you do not have any employees in any of these categories, please enter 0. The field here will need to have something in it in order to successfully submit the application. Okay, moving on to section C. The first question requests your business's total number of employees out of work, including those that were laid off and those that were furloughed. Please submit these totals as they were on June 30th, 2020. Next, we ask that you select the phase in which your business was operating under at any capacity. For this question, you may select multiple phases if you were able to be in business for more than one phase. This means if you were able to operate in red, you may select all 3 phases. The next few questions are focused on the ownership of your business. First, you will need to submit the % of the business in which you own. If you are not the majority owner, you will need to complete the information in the box below, which includes the owner's name, address, and percentage of their ownership. If there are multiple majority owners, you may submit additional responses by selecting Add Another Response on the bottom right of this box. Each majority owner's information will need to be submitted individually as part of this application. Next, please answer yes or no to whether or not your business is an affiliated company or part of a franchise. If the answer to this question is yes, an additional text field will appear and you will be asked to name your parent company. The last 2 questions in this section ask if you own more than one company, and if so, if you received funds in our first round. The last question does require a response, and therefore, if you do not own more than one company, we ask that you answer this question no. If you have received a grant from our first round, you are not eligible to receive one in our second round. Section D is the submission of all required documentation. This has also changed from our first round. The first document you will need to provide are your tax documents. You may choose to upload your 2018 and 2019 business tax return or your full and complete 2018 and 2019 personal tax return, which should include either a Schedule C or a Schedule F, depending on how you file. Please select which one you are uploading so that the file upload box appears. Next, you will need to submit your completed W-9 form. We got a lot of questions on this form on our first round, so we made it as easy as possible this round and included a hyperlink there for you to access a blank W-9 form and submit in the box below. Finally, you will need to submit an executed agreement form. To do so, you will need to print out the form available in the link, complete it once you've thoroughly reviewed it, and scan it. This form will not be used unless you are offered a grant, but we are requesting it now to avoid delays later on. Section E is essentially the exact same as the previous version of our form. Please read through all of these terms thoroughly and check off each one to acknowledge you understand. To complete the application, you will need to e-sign at the bottom with your name, title, and date. There will be a blue button at the bottom of this section that reads Submit. Once you submit the application, a window will appear confirming it was successfully received. If something was not completed correctly within your application, a box will notify you to take another look at the form, and you will need to complete the error as requested before trying to submit again. Before we move on to take questions from some of our future applicants, we wanted to run through a few reminders about the application form. Please take advantage of our embedded links. They are there to assist you as you work to complete this application. As previously mentioned, all required fields within the form have a red asterisk at the end of the question. If you do not complete these questions, you will not be able to submit your application successfully. If you are stuck on a question, please be sure to scroll over it with your mouse to check for a tooltip. We took some frequently asked questions from our first round and made sure to include further explanation on this round's form to assist our business owners in accurately and confidently completing their application. The application window for this round is significantly longer than our first round. Our form will officially be live on Monday, September 14th at 8:00 a.m. through Friday, September 18th at 5:00 p.m. We are able to accommodate applicants who demonstrate a need to submit a paper application. Those requests are due by Wednesday, September 16th at 5:00 p.m. Should you require a paper application, it will be sent to you in an email as a PDF. You will need to print and complete the application and may turn it into our office by appointment only. We highly encourage you to submit your application using the digital form to prevent error and to assist in the swift review of all applications. If at any time you have a question regarding our application form, please feel free to reach out by emailing us at bucksbacktowork@buckscounty.org. And now we will take questions from our future applicants.
Okay. Thanks, Deanna. Steve, do you have a slide with the email address on there? If anybody does have questions, we are monitoring the mailbox live right now. And Steve, if you could put a slide up there, but it is bucksback2work@buckscounty.org. So bucksback2work, the word to, T-O, at buckscounty.org. So send an email through. You can just put the question in the subject line or wherever if it's longer, and we'll get those questions answered today. And we have a couple so far. So the first one, Deanna, is, and you went through this, is are you able to apply for round 2 if you received an award in round 1?
No, unfortunately, if you did receive a grant award in our first round, you are not able to receive a grant award in our second round. So please do not apply.
And I think it at least it's said in the eligibility requirements, even if it's for a different business, right? If it's the same business owner, they cannot receive another award. Okay.
That's correct.
And if there's partners, there could be an award if the other business owner, the other partner didn't receive.
It would depend on whether or not the business owner is a majority owner of the business. For our program, you do have to be at least a 20% owner of the company. If it was, say, a 15% owner and they received a grant in the first rounds, you may apply for this round as a 15% owner, but you will have to disclose that on our form.
Cool. All right, that one's good. All right, another question. This grant will be for me. My business partner lives in Maryland. On the application, do I put in gross revenues for the business or only my gross revenue? We don't split the revenues evenly. So do they put just their share of revenue or the total business revenue if there's a partner?
It would be for the business, as you are applying on behalf of the business, not on behalf of yourself.
Okay. Those are the only two I see so far. Again, if you have a question, we've got time and answers. bucksbacktowork@buckscounty.org. If you want to send that through. And if you can't think of any questions now, you could always send them through at any time. And I know the team will get back to you. Stephen, are there any more that you have? I don't have any in my inbox.
I think Deanna answered everyone's question, so I don't think we have to.
That's it. Good. And I will just say from my experience of applying for my business in the first round that the team is very responsive on that mailbox if you do have questions, and always just want to make sure everything's clear for you too. Yeah, so don't be shy if you do have questions and need some clarity on things. They were really good, and the process was great, and communications all throughout. So I'm sure it'll be even better in round 2.
Thank you, John. That's great feedback. Glad to hear.
You're welcome. That's it. That's all the questions, guys. Bob, if you have anything to wrap up. You're muted.
I just came in, so I just sent it to you.
Oh. All right. We good to wrap then, Bob? Yes? Bob is on perpetual mute.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in.
Oh, there he goes.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself.
You're back.
That's everyone's dream, being able to mute a politician.
Oh, wait, we got a question.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there we go. How many W-9s do we need to send?
You need just one for the business.
Was it? That's the question. Steve, any other last minute snuck in there? Cool.
Not right now. I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to thank Deanna for all the work she put in, and on the rest of the staff who, obviously Deanna's here, but there's a staff of people who helped put this all together, but she did a lion's share of it, and she's going to be the one who answers your questions. Just want to touch on a couple things. Certainly opening up our last grant was one day application window. This is a week. This is not first come, first serve. So don't, take your time. It's better to sort of review your application, make sure you have all your documentation right. It doesn't matter if you get it on a Monday or get it in on Friday. It's more important to get it, in correctly. And there is no cap at our last round of grants. We had a $25,000 cap. As Deanna said, you can't receive more than 25% of your revenue, but certainly if we have revenue businesses that are able to receive up to or have revenue up to $2 million. So there is no cap on this. So we really are kind of waiting to see what kind of input we get from people and what kind of requests we get, and that'll determine where the $15 million goes. Our goal is to try and help as many businesses as we can all over Bucks County. That's one of the reasons for the restriction that if you received grant money the first time, you're not eligible to receive it this time. If you applied for the first grant and didn't receive it, then you're certainly eligible to receive it this time around. And one of the clauses, I just want to kind of make sure, and I know Deanna touched on this a couple times and she emphasized it, about making sure that when you're clicking in those boxes, that you're doing it, in a truthful way. If you did receive money in the first round, you're not eligible. I'm sorry, but we want to try and help as many businesses as we can. The county did pass an ordinance earlier this year about fraud, and it does entitle the county to recover 3 times the amount of the fraud. And so if someone is untruthful, and we didn't have this at all in the first round, and I'm very confident we won't have it this round either, but certainly have to make sure the lawyers are happy with me that I say this out loud, that if you do apply and some of the information is not accurate and you do receive a grant, the county is entitled to recover 3 times that amount, just to prevent that kind of fraud, because this is money that we want to use to help people, and we want to make sure we're doing it fairly and everyone's receiving an amount that helps them keep their businesses open, keep their workers employed, keep the lights on and the bills paid. So we're doing everything we can with that to do that. So again, thank you John for your work, and Deanna for her work, and everyone for tuning in. I don't know if there's any questions while I was talking. If not, then I guess we're good to go.
I don't see any more. I have one, Bob, if I'm allowed to ask one. Just with round 1 having been capped at 25K, and then now this round, say there aren't as many applicants, or there's other applicants that end up receiving, I guess, 2 questions. If you don't get enough applicants, which I'm not sure that would happen, but if you don't get enough, would you go back to the round one applicants potentially, or just leave it at whatever amount you give out in round two?
No, we figured with a higher ceiling on terms of revenue for this program that, you know, we're likely to see businesses that are going to need more than $25,000, or, you know, certainly could use more than $25,000. You know, it's interesting, in the first round, we did have some businesses that only received $5,000, or in some cases less than $5,000 in that grant, when others received $25,000. And we did make some calls and just to touch base and announce, you know, let them know, people know that they were getting awards. And for some of the businesses that if you told them they were receiving $4,000, you were afraid they'd be upset with you, that they needed more. And you'd be surprised that the businesses that were so thankful just to receive that smaller amount, that it was what they needed to help get them over that bridge. So we think, you know, certainly it's one of the reasons why we're asking for some input. You know, what is it that you need? You know, when we're asking people obviously to be honest and just give us an idea if maybe they need $12,500, you know, to get them over the next, you know, few weeks or few months. Or, you know, hopefully this ends, well, we know it's going to end at some point, but, you know, hopefully it ends sooner rather than later. So we're keeping it open at this point.
Got it. And then the follow on of that was the cap was 25,000 in the first round. Now, say for a relative need for a business making 700,000 that received 25,000 in the first round, is there a chance that there's a business with the same amount of need would receive more than 25,000 this round? And then how do you? Okay.
Yeah, it's possible. We're going to, as we did in the first round, there is going to be a sort of a metric used for this to sort of weigh all of the factors with every business and give us an idea of who's most in need, running algorithms essentially just to see who really could use this money the most. And then we'll kind of determine from there how we disseminate the money. Okay.
And then also too, I know in the first round, there were 2 rounds of that the 2 waves, the funds were released in. Would that be likely in this round as well?
We'll have to wait and see. I think it probably depends on how many applicants we get. You know, from once the review is done, then, you know, in the first round, one of the delays, I guess you could say, was that some of the paperwork that we needed, the W-9s and the agreements that Deanna highlighted, those were things we went back and asked people for, just to kind of, you know, and we had to wait for that to come back to us. And that sort of delayed everything. So one of the changes we made was to ask for all that up front, so that we get so we have that information, so that if somebody does get awarded, we can just communicate that to the treasurer's office, and they can start, you know, work with the controller's office here at the county and start cutting checks. Our goal is to try and have money out the door in early October.
Cool. Yeah, that helps. And I know for my business, we received funds in the first round, but the second release. Mm-hmm. So if you are a new applicant, if there are 2 releases, don't be concerned if you don't make that first. Yeah. There's so much you can do.
Yeah, and we'll exactly. It is paperwork and manpower and just that process. And we will reach out and let people know that, you know, if they're going to receive funding at some point, give them some kind of idea if we end up doing it in different waves.
Awesome. There was another question that came through. In terms of around the disbursement total, will all of the remaining money be dispersed?
Yeah, we've committed, the commissioners have committed to expending $15 million in this round.
Great. Okay, I think, Stephen, any others come through?
That's all I got.
Okay, we'll maybe give another 10 seconds. Countdown. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Cool. And then that email again, bucksbacktowork@buckscounty.org. Any questions come up after the meeting at any time, email that box. That's all we've got.
All right. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Deanna.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks,